Hello, welcome back to a new video. I'm recording this for the second time because Google Earth crashed again. So Google Earth provides the big picture, so this picture at the top, but it leaves on the Macintosh and still running an Intel version, not my Macintosh but the software. Google has not updated this in a while. It seems to crash once every while. It's a problem if I've been recording for half an hour already. So let me stop complaining and tell you what we are doing today. So been a while, I will talk about that a bit. But today we are going to the Uithof. I record this on Sunday. There is a reason why I record on Sunday, because not as busy in that area. Because the Uithof and the Science Park, which is this new name, is basically where two of the big universities are. So the University of Utrecht and the Hogeschool, which is not really university but a bachelor degree, so the technical direction. So yeah, we're going there. It's quite a long ride, and we are going to ride there for about 15-20 minutes. But I figured I put the whole video online because we are seeing some normal highlights in bicycling in Utrecht. We're going through the inner city, which makes sense because there where most of the students start. We're going to pass the bridge in a few seconds already. Can talk a little bit about that again, and some other highlights like the bicycle parking, etc., etc. So it will be about an hour ride. If it crashes again, I probably will try to hack it up so that we don't see it and not restart again, because it takes me half an hour each time to start again. It crashed after about half an hour. So the first thing we are going to see is, I will make it bigger, is the bicycle bridge which goes over the water, the canal, and then lands on top of a school. And you can now see it coming into the picture that in the Google Maps you can see there's still no buildings and they are building it basically. In reality, of course, Google Maps is always a few years behind, depending a little bit where it takes the pictures. But you can see it's now almost fully built. So in the distance we can already see a nice sort of new mural on the wall of that building. That's actually a sundial, which is kind of a cool idea. And you can see the bridge in between the two buildings. And what's nice about it is that in the first videos it was still kind of empty on this side, but you can see they are filling it with this a coffee place and some other small shops and homes. On this side of the bridge they are also now kind of filling up the buildings left and right. So it also will be kind of hidden inside between these buildings. So the Daphne Schippers Bridge, which is this one named after an athlete, is going over the canal and connects the new part of the city with the old part of the city. But they didn't have room to put a bridge in, so they redid a school, which is this school we are now going on top of, and they integrated the bicycle path on the roof of the school, which we are now entering. So the school is below us. We've seen it in many videos, but if it's your first video here, and you can also see in the, I will make it bigger when we are getting off the ramp. So you can see lots of kids. It's Sunday. The rain has been, the weather has been quite rainy, and it was also not that warm on this day. So you can see a mixture of people having jackets, and not everybody's out bicycling because there's risk of rain. So you can already see it smaller, but if you make it bigger, you can see the loop-de-loop of the roof of the building, and then go into the normal bicycle path again. So I guess I should keep an eye on the Google Maps thing if it keeps moving, because if it crashes it just sort of stops moving, so I might not see it for a few minutes. Hopefully it will go all the way to the end. So you can get information where we are in the subtitles. I'll put the banner over here. There you can see how to get to the different subtitles, and there you can see our GPS location, the street name, the speed that we are going, and other technical information if it's your first time here. Also, if we are doing normal introductions, there are quite a few kids around because it's Sunday, and it might look that I'm going quite fast. The way that I put on the camera is quite a natural position, but I'm going about 23 kilometers an hour most time, 23, 24. But the way that the camera works is quite natural. In the position I try to put it in and the speed. But it is a wide angle, so that it looks like I'm closer to people than I actually am. So especially with kids, I'm quite a defensive rider. So it might look that I'm going on a speed bike. I'm not. It just kind of looks that way on the camera picture. This is also quite a busy bicycle path here. They say at the end of this path this is one of the busiest crossings for bicycles in Utrecht. I have my doubts, but it's always kind of busy. Sometimes these specs or these claims are kind of interesting. Maybe at some point I should look into if there's actually numbers. A number map that we can see how many bicycles there are in different locations in the city. So over the small bridge, and we go over the Muntbrug, which is basically the Dutch name for coin, and that's because you see that building in front of us. They are now renovating it. That's basically where all the Dutch coins were made for a few hundred years, and also the euros were made there, and they're now fixing it up again. But that's why it's called the Muntbrug. And we are on quite a well-known bicycle path because somehow it ends up in many videos, not only of mine but in general. And we are going to next to the water with the living boats. I'm riding on the wrong side, if you want to define it, but again I'm being quite careful in doing this. And it looks more aggressive than. You can see they are going quite slow, so I want to go a bit faster. And we already passed the star? Yes, we did. So we just passed no we didn't. So upcoming is the windmill. There it is. I will make the picture tiny, but then you can't see it, so you can see it a tiny bit. It's called the Star, and especially on Sunday people are outside sitting. So when you make it bigger you can see the windmill in the middle of the city. There are quite a few, and this is still an active one. So in this case I'm riding on the wrong side, air quotes. But always prepared to move back if needed. And I only do it if there are no bicycles really along the way. You see what you just saw quite a lot. A parent in a bakfiets, so cargo bike. In Dutch we call them bakfiets. Basically box bike. And with a kid next to it which is a little bit older. You can also see the flags, it's quite windy. So we are entering the, I would almost call it, doing air quotes, high-rise part of the city, where there are some higher buildings. So in front of us is the central station. It's quite big, It's the biggest train station in the Netherlands. So there are different entrances to it. The reason why it's so big is because it's in the middle of our country. So basically many trains pass through Utrecht as a main switching point. You see that quite a lot in different countries, like in Japan, in Tokyo for example. The biggest station is not always the capital, it's sometimes another city simply because of the geographical location. And in Utrecht, in the Netherlands, definitely the case. It's the biggest one. You can also see the tracks already on the Google Maps. See there's quite a few train tracks. So on the right you see the entrance and where the girl is coming from with the headphones from the 12,500 parking garage. People always think that that's the only parking garage. No, it's not. There are in fact multiple in the central station itself. So 12,500 below ground is just one of them. And outside of course there's also lots of places. I think the inner city has room for about 40 or 50,000 bicycles. So most students will start over here at the central station and then take kind of, there are probably multiple routes, but one of the routes we are riding to their school in the morning. So a typical Dutch day in June, kind of mixed weather, so you can see that the girl was, for example, taking a jacket off, but other people are still in kind of almost winter jackets. You can see later on, I think over here I'm going to take my heart rate, and I have my gloves on because I find it so quite coldish and I have quickly cold hands. Since I'm recording this a second time, I know that over here you see my hands and my Apple Watch where I take my heartbeat. So one of the reasons I didn't make too much videos is that, here we go, is that I have a heart condition, and normally that's fine, but sometimes it jumps into something called arrhythmia, so my heartbeat goes up about 40 beats per minute. Which is not good, and it takes a few days, and in this case a week before it went away, and then you have to recover a bit. Yeah, it's not good, but it is what it is. So you can also see that this woman passed me quite close. That's what it looked on the camera, but in reality it was fine. Speed pedelec, you don't see them much in the Netherlands, so these are the bikes that can go at 45 kilometers an hour. They're same, but they can be the same brand as mine. So my bike, for example, has a 25 kilometer version and a 45 kilometer version, and they only are about 200-300 euro difference. But you have to get a license, you have to wear a helmet and stuff like that. So they're kind of the same speed that in America most e-bikes are. So I think the maximum there is 28 miles an hour. You don't see them a lot. Last time I checked the numbers, I think about 600,000 or 700,000 e-bikes are being sold every year in our country, and only about 15,000 are these speed pedelecs. And most people use them between villages to go to work, and that kind of makes sense. For the rest, they are not sold that much because it has quite a few downsides, like the insurance, and you can't ride on the bicycle paths most of the time, helmet and stuff like that. So they're not that popular in the Netherlands. Kind of an interesting bicycle path, because if you don't know it's there, then... So we are now sort of in the inner city, and a lot of the buildings around us are from the University of Utrecht. And we are going basically to some of their buildings are outside the city at the science park for expansion reasons, but also for practical reasons. So, for example, most of the veterinarians, are being schooled there. So you will see a lot of horses later on in the video, and of course they don't go in the inner city. So also lots of the medical parts are there. So University Hospital and UMC and different parts of buildings are over there. This kind of makes sense. Well, so far little earth has not crashed on me. There's also an this is an application, but there's also a browser version, but then I can't import my files that I need to do this 3D view. I should look into that a little bit more. I like these flowers in these bowls, but I'm assuming they are plastic because otherwise I don't see how it works. So the ones in the lanterns, they are real, but I'm kind of doubtful that the one that's hanging in the middle of the road, I'm not sure how that would work. Maybe somebody knows, you can put it in the comments. So this is a good example of a typical road that's been redone, right? It's still, cars are still allowed, but you can clearly see it's somewhat different than a normal, how the road will be. So it's now turned over to a bicycle first path, even for the buses, so they should stay behind the bicycles when possible. So cars and in this case buses are gas. But if you get to the end of it, so in this case, then it kind of turns into a bicycle or into a car road again, because they have to, because of the stoplights and stuff. But it doesn't happen yet. You can see the way that to recognize this is that of course the bicycle path would be red, but you see this gray area in the middle, which depending on how much traffic calming they want to do, is either quite flat and you can drive on it quite nicely, but sometimes they're kind of really like cobblestones if they want to get the speed of the driver down. And the sneaky part, of course, that they don't need to make many of these cobble road versions, because cars drivers have a sort of naturally built-in aversion of going on the grey, because then they know, yeah, it sounds different. But now I'm riding on it, I'm assuming, and you notice that it hardly registers in the bike riding. So I think the Google Earth crashed around this point last time, so hopefully it will continue working. I'm making my first mistake here. I made quite a few in routing because, yeah, well, I made mistakes. I wanted to go into the park, but I should have done that. I recognize now, but my route planner told me a little bit different, and then I got confused. Going against the direction. Oh my god. I guess that's also a Dutch thing, right? We are not natural good rule followers, let me put it like that. But if you made the infrastructure in a way that it kind of makes sense, then most people will do it anyway. And what I mean with that, a good example is the crossing that is shown a lot in different YouTube videos. So the really busy one in the inner city is what they do is they look what people are doing in reality, how bikes are, for example, crossing the road, and at some point they just give up and they say, This is a good example. What I'm doing now is not supposed to be doing, but if many people will do that, they will probably figure out, well, that's the way that people use it. Let's sort of redesign it that it sort of fits that mode. Because if people tell you that Dutch people like to follow rules, not really. So there's two ways to try to stop that. Put a lot of signs there. That's one way. Give high fines, or try to work with the flow, if that makes sense. So design your infrastructure in a way that it sort of, I wouldn't say support the bad behavior, but support the natural tendencies, because people are doing it for a reason. If one person sort of cuts a little part of the road, then you can say, well, there's one person. But if everybody is doing it, they must have a good reason for doing so. Probably to save like 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Or avoid the traffic light. We also see that a lot. And if people, in fact, we already saw in our trip now that there were several traffic lights which are actually on orange. And that means that a large part of the day the traffic light doesn't make sense, and they just turn into orange and say, figure it out yourself. And that's partly a reaction of people getting frustrated or just running the red light because it doesn't make sense. So we're getting kind of to the outskirts of the city. And so I'm not sure, but I think about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes from the central station, then we get into this area of the science park where we're now going. You see cars are still allowed, but only 2.40. That dog was going quite quickly. You always have to keep an eye on dogs. So here you can see the same sort of grey in the middle, but you can see it's sort of somewhat in between. There's not cobblestone, but there are normal stones, and that already is more tricky for a car to drive on. You will feel it in your car, sort of. So it's a good trick to reduce speed. And we can already see in the Google Maps different buildings are sort of changing from residential areas to more office space or university space. And I think, I'm not sure, but I think the first kind of buildings are maybe veterinarian. But so you have to use the subtitle information to know where we are, because I'm not going to tell you, because I don't know, or I don't want to remember. Again, I try to plan it quite neatly through this area of the science park, but at some point there were some areas where they fenced it off, and the Google, also the route mapper didn't see it. So I had to decide to go random riding, so just ride on my gut feeling where I needed to go. The only reason why I planned this ride is I want to make sure that I show at least several roads in the science park. So it's a Sunday, but we can see that the number of speed riders is quite low, because it was raining and then warmer began and raining again. So it was Sunday, but not overly everybody's outside Sunday. Clearly some old buildings that were there before the science park evolved. But one feeling you should get is that you don't feel that this is like very car oriented way to go to school, right? It's kind of relaxed. I'm pretty sure with lots of people on bicycles in the morning is sometimes not as relaxed. So passing one of the main highways, you can see in the bigger picture there's quite a few lanes. I think it's like 8 lanes or something. But as a bicycle, no interaction. And you can see already the bigger university buildings popping up. And there are some farms around. Sometimes they are owned by the university and they're being used for horses, for example, and other animals. Now, since although two of the two big schools here are also in my past, I attended both of them. But back in that time, so in the 1990s, not all the buildings were there. So I would mostly be in buildings in the city itself. The only longer period I've been into this science park was in the actually a building to our left. I was working on the CERN collider as a software engineer. So the big collider in CERN in Geneva, and one of the projects was run from here in the University of Utrecht. Designing DSPs, so that's our special kind of CPUs that are in your computer, but in this case they would be used at the collider part. So I worked on that for about a year. Now that sounds very high tech. Well, it was not low tech, but it was so long before the collider was finished that you kind of knew that if you were working on this, the software and some of the hardware, that it would never be used. It would just be almost like the learning curve before the real stuff was made. Which is kind of interesting if you have a project so big and that takes 20 or 30 years, that you kind of know if you're working on it that you're basically just learning and never really be in production, if it makes sense. I doubt if any stuff that I did ever made it in a direct version into the collider, which is now active in Geneva. So the Large Hadron Collider. It's kind of weird to think about, but it was fun. I learned a lot. So we now made it onto the science park. So there's one new bicycle attraction. I'm not sure if it's really an attraction, but at some point we are going to ride on the biggest rainbow, longest rainbow bicycle paths in the world. I'm not sure why that's a thing per se, but I sometimes get it in my Facebook feed. So here you see the different buildings, and also the flag with the kind of star sort of symbol is the University of Utrecht. We talked about it before. The flag for the weapons arm of Utrecht is basically a kind of a shield with a red and a white part, which is related to Saint Martin. So he got his coat for the poor, and that's kind of what it symbolizes. That's a very bad explanation, but that's kind of what it's for. One thing I kind of liked, and maybe I'm weird because I'm a nerd, but I kind of like that if you see the Google top view, that you can see where in the different areas solar cells are being done. And especially a different generation of Google Maps, you can see, I think she lost her phone. Yeah, don't use your phone on the bicycle. And they wonder why your phone breaks. Let me preface it by knocking on wood, but in the, I know, 2007, so it's been a while. So since the iPhone was released, I never broke one of my iPhone screens. I usually use iPhones. But maybe I'm lucky, maybe it's just sort of your behavior that protects your phone. And even with the Apple Watch, which you've seen before, because I use it mostly for a health tracker, it keeps an eye on my heart and my heart rate and oxygen levels and stuff like that. That's now about 10 years old and I never damaged that one either. So it's amazing sometimes what people put their phones and their gadgets through. So you can see lots of horses here which are related to the university. And, I'm claiming that, but I think that's true. I should have looked it up. Because I think there are at least like 100 or few hundred horses here around. I'm not sure if they're all related to the university, to be fair. I assume so. I guess I can use a different computer to Google it while we are riding around, because like I said, I don't have much to talk about today. So I think here where we started messing up, because I want to go somewhere where you're not allowed to go. I'm looking at the horses, and as far as I can see, yeah, they all seem to be related somehow to the university. Of course, you see the benches outside, so normally there will be kids hanging around. You see food trucks. Some of them stay here over the weekend. Some of them go away. It's probably good business to be a food truck over here. Oh, that was kind of funny. I can't remember what happened, but the kid was doing something. Not really a bicycle path, so I got distracted again. So let me go on here. But you can see in the top view there's quite a lot of high buildings which are mostly educational. Lead me try to figure out how to get on the bicycle path again. I guess this is the way that I want to do it. I think we are now hitting up on the rainbow. path. It's not that old, I guess, because we don't see it on the Google Maps in rainbow colors. So let me say something political incorrect. I prefer the old rainbow. I understand why the new colors are there, but I just don't think it looks as nice as it did before with only the normal rainbow colors. Going weird. So that's my politically incorrect sort of statement of the day. I have no idea why I was standing still. By this time I got so confused what to do. I had to have a new plan. So this, they tell us, is the longest rainbow bicycle path in the world. Okay. And I think this is mostly not the university but a whole school. So the higher school education system. Not all the buildings are mixed, but yeah, you can see HU, which stands for the higher school. So higher is the H and the U, of course, is Utrecht. So HU. I guess that, oh, you see the food trucks. I guess that's not, well, it is done in America also. Mostly the letters of the university or the school building are being used. So HU and UvA, for example, in Amsterdam, and UU for the University of Utrecht. Since I got so confused about the route, we are riding this multiple times. Because I want to show a little bit more about basically the structure. You can see if you're talking about infrastructure, so here the tram lines are coming in. So you can use a tram to the university. And of course buses. So in the old days it was more buses. Well, not the old days, it's still being done. I'm actually not sure how the mixture now is between bicycles, tram and buses. I have no idea. Okay, I did Google something, so to give you any idea how busy this place is. So at this moment, so I guess it's 2024, there are 50,000 students in this area every day, about 20,000 employees, so about 70,000 people that use this science park. So it is quite big. How many people live there? And there also live about 3,000 people, I guess. So let's round it up together with visitors, working travelers or whatever. Let's say about 80,000 people. And again, you can see, of course we are driving it, but you can see there's bicycle paths and how, I wouldn't say little room, but how mixed it is with car traffic. It's not the prettiest area. You can see already on the map that we have been here before, so we are now entering the rainbow part again. And soon we will be leaving. So we tried a few routes in the science park, not all of them. But hopefully it gives you an idea about how the inner city is connected to a place of education. See again, most buildings either have the HU symbol on it or the universities or the flag which you see here. So that's the University of Utrecht building, the other one is a HU building. And even on a Sunday you see quite a lot of bicycles outside, but it will, I'm sure, pale to comparison on a normal school day. It's interesting, I didn't look at it, but how many, where the bicycles are parked, if there are also special parking below. I'm guessing most buildings would have that. So the bikes that you see outside are just people are late or lazy. Well, Google Earth made it so far. Let's knock on wood again. Hopefully it stays that way. You can see these double buses. This is a triple one, yeah, a triple bus. So sometimes they can be quite long. They can be like 11 meters or 15 meters. I'm not sure, but quite long. So they don't have one flexible area, but they have 2 or 3 on. Yeah, making a circle, okay. So students will be sitting outside here, I guess. So upcoming to the right side is one of the buildings I was showing. Dun, dun, dun. Maybe at some point I will go here on a really busy day. To be fair, I get irritated quite quickly if they're going really slow like these kids are. And they are 4 or 5 wide. That's kind of why I don't want to ride it on a day like this. Or I want to ride it on a day like this and not on another day. I guess if you want to call this a campus, because in a way it kind of is, it doesn't look as nice as some of the campuses you see in really posh universities in the States. Yeah, this is more pragmatic in a way. It's of course also open, right? You can just sort of ride around, which I'm not sure if all universities in the States are. Well, Stanford, yeah, the few that I've been to have been open. Or maybe I should say it more nicely. There's quite a few nice, although expensive, universities, of course, in different places in the world. This is not an official bicycle path, but I was still trying to figure out where if I could have get to a part that I couldn't get to because of the fence that was closed. Nobody's going to yell at you if you drive here, but officially this is not a bicycle. So we're almost at the end of our bike ride. That doesn't mean that the video is done, because we are going big into the inner city and past some traditional bicycle features in Utrecht, but that was not the reason why I went out and biked. I just wanted to show you what life would be as a university student or another education. And like I said, so this building I've also been in for a while. So you can see it's not the most glamorous always. Some parts are quite nice, some are small electric cars they use to drive around stuff. So we're going to pass the highway again and then go back into the city. So I hope you enjoyed that part. Of the ride. So the good news is that most traffic lights are controlled not by time alone, but by also signals that it gets from the road. So since of course this is a Sunday, there's not much car traffic, and most lights react on when you're approaching and go to green. Again, an example where the traffic lights are turned off. They are in figure it out for yourself mode. Which is not a cost cutting reason. The only reason is to, again, if they would have left them on, then the Dutch attitude would probably to run a red light. So yeah, better to turn them on orange and signal that you have to look out for yourself. So it tells us that we are leaving the science park, and see you next time. Not in the video, but what the sign says. In Dutch we say tot ziens. Until next time. This might not be the way that normal students would ride out of the science park, but this is what the route planner told me. So it might be, but it doesn't look like. It could probably hold lots of students bicycling, but I'm kind of doubtful this is the normal escape route, if you want to call it that. I have no clear idea where I am at the moment. But I think we made it back to a more natural route into the city. Of course, I planned it, the trip in and the trip out differently, because otherwise it would be boring. So that's why we are entering in this kind of weird way. But this is a normal path again into the city. So one thing I like about Utrecht as a city is that in most part of the cities you can still hear the birds chirping. The sound of the car traffic is quite low in most places. This makes it a little bit more jarring when you're next to a road, normal road. You do hear the sound. In many places they use special asphalt, which is sound killing. It's a little bit more easier, I think more expensive, and I think it also is not great for your tires, but it makes way less noise. And Dutch roads, of course, are even for cars, they are not hard on your tires. So on this bicycle, this is a bad example, but just jumped into my mind. So this bicycle is going in for maintenance soon. So it's about 15,000 kilometers now. And I still have the official tires on it, and I was asking, hey, do we also need to change the tires? And they're like, no, they look fine. So it gives you an idea. I'm guessing that probably I can do about 30,000 kilometers on these sets of tires. Now, for people who've been watching my channel and even this video, you hear my left brake, my back brake sort of making lots of noise. I love this bicycle, but the brakes are very good, but very noisy at times. So I'm going to replace, there, just on time, there we hear it. So I'm going to replace them with better discs, which are a tiny bit more high-end, and they are multiple parts and they should be more quiet. So that's being done in a few weeks. So basically the bicycle has a belt, so it doesn't use a normal chain. It has a belt construction from an American company called Gates, and I'm replacing it because if it breaks, then it's quite tricky to you can't really put a new one on very quickly. So it's very low maintenance, so very quiet. But after 15,000 kilometers, I'm going to preemptive replace the corks and the belt. You always should do them in tandem, never replace the corks without the belt and the belt without the corks. That seems to be a bad idea. So it's quite expensive to do on this bike, a few $100. And I'm going to upgrade the brakes. For the rest, I'm quite happy with this bicycle after 15,000 kilometers. In about 2 years. A little bit less. So my aim for this bicycle is to take it in distance one time around the world. So that's 40,075 kilometers or something like that. Again, quite an interesting structure. We can see it in the big picture where they made it that the bicycle goes under the traffic. And of course, in a location like this, where you go from the university area to the city again, it kind of makes sense. And this has not been built in the last 5 years, right? This has been done for decades, so it might have cost a little bit more to do, but the lower maintenance and just less accidents and stuff, it makes sense. Because this was quite a busy car area. Here we're getting into a regular city part of it. I think this was around noonish, so the sun is heating up a little bit. I think we're going to pass my bicycle shop here somewhere. And maybe I'm just skimping it. Oh, train is coming, train is coming. By the way, sometimes it looks that I'm running a red light, but that's not true because quite often the bicycle lights and the walking lights are not fully synced in time for practical reasons. Yeah, so we on the left we see my bicycle shop called Juice, at least for this bicycle. They sell high-end e-bikes, cargo bikes, stuff like that. Again, lights on orange, so figure it out yourself mode. Well, this one is turned on, right, as you can see. People walking on the bicycle path, that's what the sign said, be careful. So I did a natural thing that, so if you're still watching, thanks for watching, but we are just driving home and normally I would leave the recording running when we go back until the tape is full. In this case, of course, the tape is most of the time the battery, so in this case when the battery runs out. Which is about 1 hour 10, 1 hour 20, if I don't take preparation. But we are still going through the underground bicycle parking. So if you want to see that, it's coming up soon. So this was one of the roads which as a kid my mom always warned me to be careful. I did go here quite often. Am I now making sense? Yeah, no, we are not in that road yet, so. This was already always okay. City, which is a movie theater. So this is more the road I was talking about. So we're back in the heart of the city. The square in front of us is called Neude. But even if it's Sunday, you can see it's not too busy. In fact, so we are getting up to the air quotes famous bicycle crossing. Again, they claim that this is the busiest bicycle part in the Netherlands and I guess the world, and it does about 35,000 or more bicycles a day. But I think there's only 4 or 5 people when I'm there, so that tells you that it's not like a busy day. It's quite relaxed, at least for the inner part of Utrecht. So normally this might be already full from this point on, but you can see there's only one girl, me, And maybe a few people, like 4 or 5 people. Maybe. In this example, we will also cross the road diagonally here, where people would do whatever they want anyway, because there's no cars allowed here, just buses and ambulances and stuff like that. So they, of course, at some point adapted the directions that people are using anyway and made them official. We would argue that there are quite a lot of people walking around here, but it's Sunday, so there's market, and this is really normally way more busy. There are probably by now a few people behind me, but even then it's a quiet Sunday. We're crossing there. You can see the market. Well, in the big picture you can see that the market square is empty. But when there's market, then... So we're going to detour a little bit because normally I will go straight, but I want to detour because we want to go through the bicycle parking. Because why not? And again, when we're talking about speed, you can see in the inner city people on racing bikes are going way faster than I am. Here we're going to scoot to the left. Of course, he's not looking because you're on your phone. Actually, we talked about the canal, so we are next to the canal. You can already see the sports thingy, finish line. So there was a swim in the canal sort of day. So people were swimming in the canal. I think it's like a marathon, but then way shorter, of course. I'm not sure how long it is, but you can still hear the audio. So people were swimming in this new part of the canal, where the high road, the highway used to be. So there used to be a highway, then it used to be water. Then they put in a highway, and then they put the water back. Not going to talk about that again. But today they were swimming part of this canal. That's why I will talk about it. So this would be the old entrance to the inner city, called the Mariaplatz on the left side. But we are going right into the parking lot. Only to come out on the other end again, and that's what I said. So here is a good example what I talked about. If people talk about 12,500 bicycles, you can see how many, even on Sunday, how many bicycles are out here, right? Again, this is not even official parking. So what I'm doing now, riding through the bicycle stores. Quite a few people, locals, drive through the parking lot just to get to the other side. I think the two people in front of me are actually not also doing the same thing. If you keep an eye on them, they didn't come to park their bicycle. As you can see, this is 1 floor or 4 floors of bicycles. So here you can see from the side people going down from the 2nd floor. So we are getting out on the other entrance again. So in this case it didn't make sense. It would have been faster to just go directly. But sometimes it makes sense to go this way. I'm getting a little bit more busy. You can see the blue and yellow bikes which they got from the central station. Either returning them or starting their journey for the day. So we are at the central station again with all the train tracks. and we are going our route back home. A different route. I'm assuming that I went to the right over here at some point, otherwise I will be going the same route. That's boring. So interesting. The building in front of us, which was a Holiday Inn. It was and it's now NH new Holiday Inn building. That was for a long time, except for the Dom, kind of the only high building in the city. And now it's sort of in between and kind of lost in the. And the nice part, as a kid at least, at the top of the Holiday Inn was a bar and a swimming pool, which burned out at some point. But the bar also had these train tracks, or these kids train tracks, or model trains on the bar, which would be riding around. Which was fascinating as a kid, of course. They are not there anymore. But you can see the top of the building. There is a swimming pool there. This might be quite normal these days, but 30 years ago, 40 years ago, that was kind of special. Yeah, you hear the brakes. So the good news about the brakes is they make so much noise that it acts almost like a honk. But the bad news, for example, if I would use them here, it will scare the hell out of people. So it needs to be fixed. Like I said, I really like this bicycle, but that's one aspect that I'm hoping to fix. I won't tell you how expensive this bike is, but it's expensive. But the difference between hopefully the brakes that fix it and the brakes that are normal replacements, because at some point you have to replace your discs of your disc brakes also, of course. They are only like the difference about 20 or 30 euros. So I don't understand why this expensive bike doesn't put them on default. Although we should not forget why brakes are important, that they brake. These are probably one of the best brakes you can get for braking power. But I really hope when I replace them they are also becoming silent. An example where I'm running at red light, but I'm not really running at light. Although that one went to orange. That light over there normally is on especially the first two, are always on red, and there's nothing ever happening, so they're just not programmed correctly. So I grew up in one of the streets on your left side, and both of my parents passed away. But they used to live in the building which is on the top. We are going to pass in a few seconds. Actually, their home was just on top of the shop, or the hypotheker here, so that part. This is part of my daily sort of bicycle ride. Quite a few parts that we see today is on my normal ride. So this is called the Vleutseeweg, and I would say unofficially this is kind of the way that one of the main ways that the old part of the city and the new part of the city are connected. And also here there used to be water in the middle. They're not bringing it back. That would be weird, but I think in the 50s they removed the water and put the road in. I think it was the 50s, I'm not even sure. Maybe it was earlier. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, I think it was the 50s, but not easy to find proof. Well, maybe somebody will put it in the comments. So the buildings on the right side was made after the Second World War, and they are now being torn down to make new homes. So you can already see the fences around it. And that's where my grandma used to live, in one of these buildings. Soon to be demolished. It's always sad to see something of your past being torn down. Lived in this block. But if it comes back in a nice sort of building with some nice greenery, it's okay. A city has to live. No, I'm not running a red light again. So Douwe Egberts, which is the major coffee factory, especially before they extended the pipes on top, because they redid it I don't know, about 20 years ago. You could smell the coffee in this part of the city, which I kind of always liked. Now, sometimes you can still smell it, but not that much anymore. So we're getting near the end of the video. So this is a good example of, I guess, Dutch infrastructure. So bicycle paths, and more bicycle paths, and train tracks, and the waterway. And this is called the Yellow Bridge. To most younger generations, we will still call it the Coffee Bridge. And the reason why it was not called the Yellow Bridge is because before this one it had one which was white. And even on the Google Maps you can see that that part also is being rebuilt, the same as with the beginning of the ride. Slowly being filled up. So the canal could not be hidden, I guess, but we are soon going over. So in front of us we see buildings. That's basically on top of the highway. So one of the major highways in the Netherlands is underground there. So that the city part could expand. They didn't want a big highway cutting it out. So I've been living here for about 20 years now, and it's always evolving. I guess it will take another 15 years before it's totally done. On our left is a cinema, Pathé, and we are now entering the highway, or on top of the highway, which is just below us. It's difficult to see here, but trust me, we are riding on top of a major highway. I think the video is ending here, so bye bye and see you in the next one. because I think my battery got out. Audio check.